Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering how to become a confident public speaker. Confidence takes time, and it might not be a natural feeling for you. It might not be something that immediately comes to mind, but it's something that you can develop over time. If speaking in public is something that scares you or you just don't feel quite confident, it's time to embrace those fears and lean into them. By the end of this video, you'll learn the importance of expertise, why practicing out loud is so important, and why eye contact matters so much. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. For me, when I think about speaking in public, it gets easier and easier when I know the stuff, when I know the topic. When I'm an expert, not so bad. If I'm not an expert, then I get a little worried because I think, well, I'm going to have to research. I'm going to have to study this. I'm going to have to work at this. It gets easier and easier the more expertise you have. So it's important to think about building out your expertise. What are you best known for? What is your skill set? What are the things you know better than anything else? You know, what makes you an expert in something? The more you can lean into your expertise, the more you can know your material, the easier it becomes to be confident when you're speaking because it feels natural. You're not forcing this. You know, this is just something that is right here. It's something that you can talk about in front of anybody. It doesn't stress you out. So the more that you can have expertise, the easier it becomes to feel confident when you're talking to a group. When I think about giving a speech, I focus on a couple main points. I think about what are the things I want to accomplish with this speech. They shouldn't be very profound. They should be simple things. You want that message to be as simple and straightforward as possible. There could be complexity in terms of the topic, but you want the message to be clear. You want the reader to understand what you're trying to say and cut through the noise. There's so much noise in our world, and it's difficult sometimes to know what you should be focused on. Great public speakers and confident public speakers, it feels like they know what they're saying. They know what they're getting at. They've cut away the unnecessary. So when you think about the presentation that you're giving, cut away the unnecessary and focus on what matters most. I love practicing out loud. I love talking out loud when I'm writing, when I'm developing something. It just helps me to understand how it sounds. Stand in front of a mirror if you have to. Give that presentation to the mirror. You know, kind of feel what it's going to look like for the audience to see you giving that speech, to see you giving that address. The more that you can feel secure in the way that you're presenting the information, in the way that you sound, the easier it becomes. So it's so important to think about things that you can do to make you feel more confident giving the speech. A lot of times when I'm giving an address and talking to a group, I will talk through the main points to myself. I'll kind of, you know, put them in my mind somehow of these are the things I want to talk about. I may even make bullet points of things I want to touch on. I'm not writing out the full speech. I don't want it to be scripted like that. I want this to feel free-flowing and natural, and I want the audience member to feel like they're getting this for the first time, that this isn't something I'm just saying again and again and again. You know, I went to see Jerry Seinfeld in concert. My wife took me, she got tickets, and we went to see Jerry Seinfeld in concert. He was hilarious. He's very funny, but he gives the same presentation every single time. It's at the Beacon Theater in New York City. And every month he'll do an appearance, and it's the same show again and again and again. There's people like that. There's musicians that do that. There's comedians that do that. And it's fine if you're seeing it for the first time, but what if you see it for the second time? You're like, I already heard this. This is redundant. This is something I already heard before. The audience member, when they're in the crowd, they want to think that this is the first time that people are hearing this. And it's not to say that you don't repeat stories or tell things similarly. It's really about making it feel fresh each time. You know, making it feel new each time, making it feel different each time. Maybe the punchline's a little bit different. Maybe the delivery is a little bit different. You know, maybe you incorporate different elements. It's got to feel fresh. You know, and you just got to keep working at it. You know, and I think by practicing and by putting your stories out there again and again and again, you find a free flow pattern that works, where you're not just dialing back and recreating the same thing, but you're pulling from that database in your brain and you're telling it in the way that fits right now for this crowd. Because ultimately, the parameters of each speech are going to be a little different. This isn't just so-and-so gets to go talk for whoever they want. Maybe it's a Q&A session. Maybe it's a 50-minute keynote. Maybe it's a 20-minute presentation. Each speech is a little bit different, so you want to map the material accordingly in your mind, so you can dial it back and you can come back to it. But it's so valuable to really think about each speech as being different. Each speech is being unique. At the same time, it's important to lean on resources if you need them. My friend Emma, she's an emerging public speaker, and I'm super proud of her. And she has a traumatic brain injury. She's recovering from a TBI. And that recovery process is an ongoing, lifelong thing. But she's developing as a public speaker. And there's a confidence level for her, the balancing act of feeling more and more secure talking to groups, but also feeling more comfortable having things written down. So she's somebody who balances between speaking outwardly and off the cuff while also having things written just in case as a safety net. And I think it's great to know that each person's going to have their own comfort level. And if you're somebody who likes to have access to stuff, don't be afraid to use resources or tools to help you. When people are giving big addresses, a lot of times the speech is written out ahead of time and they're reading off the teleprompter. Even so, it's so important to be natural in your delivery. And I think by practicing, by working at your speech, by going at it again and again and again, and really just kind of speaking clearly and openly and honestly and authentically in the moment allows you to bring a new level of understanding and a new level of presence. No matter what the situation, no matter if you've given this speech before, it still feels fresh and new. When you think about giving that speech, and the mirror comes to mind again, think about adding pauses, think about eye contact, where are you looking throughout the room, adding pauses at the right moments for punctuation and focus to really draw the audience in. It's important to recognize that just overloading the audience with information isn't the way to go. You want to simplify this and you want to build out pauses. You want to slow down the conversation. You want to hit the main points and you want to reiterate them. You want to make sure that those things stick with the audience, but you want to make sure that you're not overloading them or speaking too fast. A lot of times when we're speaking too fast, it means like a lack of confidence. We're nervous. Dry mouth is another thing that comes to mind sometimes with speaking. And this is why rely on water and cough drops and other things. You want to make sure that you sound clear and sharp. You don't want it to be, oh, that person had a good message, but their throat was all messed up. They didn't sound great. You don't want that to be the focus. You want it to be, I sound great, my message is awesome, everything's clicking. The most important thing is to practice, practice, practice. Get your reps. Get your speaking reps. And you can find reps wherever you can. You can practice it at home, in front of the mirror, like I said. You can go to local groups and speak to them. You can reach out to speaker groups like National Speakers Association or Toastmasters, TEDx. There's so many different things that you can do, so many outlets for speaking, so many outlets to go in front of a group and tell them your story and tell them your message and try things out. It's valuable to be able to test things out in person in front of people and see how they respond, see what the response is, see how they feed off of that energy. And it's great when you can really lock that in and really see what connects, by their body language, by, if they're crossed with their arms, it sends a message of being blocked out, take notes themselves, like this is super important. You want them to be engaged. You want them to be engrossed on every word. And in order to do that, you need to not only give a message that's going to resonate, but you need to give it in a way that's going to allow it to resonate. So it's both of these things in action, but the more you can work on your speaking patterns, the more you can practice at it, the more you can work at it, the better it's going to be, the more you're going to be able to think on your feet, the more you're going to be able to fill the space of the room and the audience and the time that you have with the best message possible. And it's just so powerful when everything clicks into place. If you want to learn more about how to become a confident public speaker, there's definitely another video I recorded I want you to check out. I think you'll learn a lot from it. It's called How to Become a Public Speaker. That video is really focused on building your speaker reel, your speaker assets, getting networking opportunities, outreach, and then also the power of writing a book, how public speaking and book writing often go hand in hand. So you'll definitely want to check that out. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.